After a 21-hour journey, one of the most powerful symbols of the American presidency delivered Donald Trump to what he politically described as unknown territory. Hours earlier, here in Singapore, North Korean security trotted alongside the limousine as Kim Jong-un emerged from isolation and infamy to a new level of international recognition he's never known until now. Assessing his adversary, President Trump said he can size him up instantly.
I think within the first minute, I'll know. Just my touch, my feel. That's what I do.
The president arrived here with unexpected baggage, a fresh diplomatic dispute with U.S. friends. He lashed out on Twitter at G7 host Canada's Justin Trudeau, who complained publicly about Trump's trade policies. But the White House framed the president's angry reaction as positioning before Tuesday's meeting with Kim Jong-un.
He is not going to permit any show of weakness on the trip to negotiate with North Korea, nor should he.
So this was about North Korea?
Of course it was, in large part.
So because Trudeau said that.
Given the record of deception from North Korea over its nuclear program, Bill Richardson, who's been to North Korea 8 times, warns appearances will matter.
The only caution I would give the president is not be photographed too much with a smiling Kim Jong-un, because they use that in North Korea for dramatic propaganda purposes.
But a personal connection is what President Trump expects first, before any deal on substance.
But at a minimum, I do believe at least we'll have met each other. We will have seen each other. Hopefully we will have liked each other, and we'll start that process.
The president's first official visit comes Monday, when he will meet with the Prime Minister of Singapore, in part to say thank you for the considerable costs Singapore is bearing for security and logistics. Of course, the main event is Tuesday, but the big unknown is, when will this summit be over? The White House is building in some extra time, Lester, in case things are going well and they need to extend.
So we could go in overtime here.
Perhaps.
All right, Kelly, thank you. Hey, NBC News fans, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down here, and click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives. Thanks for watching.